What's up everybody, I hope you're all doing great and welcome today to my top 100 custom tactics, formations, instructions, all the rest of it that you need to know about my squad and how I'm playing at the moment. So, as you guys are aware of, we managed to hit ourselves top 100 in the first week of FUT Champions. Now, the time of recording this video, FUT Champions for the second weekend hasn't started just yet. I'm hoping to get 27 or 28 wins again this weekend to hopefully get top 100. That's the aim yet again, but the minimum we want Elite 1, which is 27 wins. So, as you can see, I start with the formation 4-1-2-1-2 with the second variation. There's not a lot that I change to. This is just the squad that we use first of all, then I'll go into the instructions and that sort of stuff. Ronaldo ends up going to number 9 up the top there. Neymar goes cam. Well, he usually goes there, but then there you go. So Hullet is left centre mid, Neymar's at cam, and this is how we look sort of when we get actually into the game. So of course the chemistry is quite awful if you started the game like this, but this is what the team looks like in game. So if we go ahead and put the players back where they should be, because the chemistry wise I get 7 chem on Mbappe and Neymar. Other than that, everyone else is on 10 chem except for Kyle Walker, who's on 7 now. I don't particularly like Antonio Valencia this year that much. I think Kyle Walker is by far the better wing back, so yes, I'd be able to get 10 chem and a right back, but Walker plays very, very well on 7 chem nonetheless. So, without further ado, let's have a look at the first custom tactics that I've actually got set. So, we'll start on balanced. So, this is just how I start the game, and then we go from there. So, in defensive-wise, we use pressure on heavy touch with a width of 3 and a depth of 4. Now, I found that this works for me because in the 4-1-2-1-2, you want to try and stay as narrow as possible because you've got that one CDM. You haven't got that second CDM. Say if you play 4-2-3-1, which is a lot of what I've seen other people play this year, because necessarily you could have 2 CDMs, keep them on cover center, then you could have the wing backs go a bit further out to press on your opponent's wingers, and then those guys, if you put them on cover center, they'll stay back. Now for me, because I prefer 4-1-2-1-2 second offensively, I then only have the 1 CDM. So I've got to keep it tighter at the back, have less gaps, and that's what the 3 width does. You could probably end up going to about 4 width, but for me, 3, that's what works, because then they're not too cramped together, like literally where there's just space massively out on the wings. You'll also find that your wing backs are sort of just on the tip of the edge of the boxes, so if they do end up spraying it out wide, you're not leaving them acres of space just to go down there, cross it into Harry Kane, and he bangs it in with his head. Yeah, again, the same with depth, just sat there just on the edge of the box when they're attacking you, not too deep, so there's not too much space for that finesse shot on the outside of the box, but then there's not a massive amount of room for their strikers to get there at the penalty spot to try and get across in either. This is how I start the game. Honestly, I don't think I'd end up changing it too much, but it's all dependent on what sort of opponent you're playing against, and that's where I'll go ahead with the attacking and the defensive formations, that sort of thing, because I've got 3 formations set for 4-1-2-1-2 second variation, and then my ultra defensive is a completely different formation, so I'll show you exactly how differently they work. And then the offensive style that I use balanced when I'm on balanced, funnily enough, and I have decent amount of width, so we're on about 7 width, 7 with the players in the box, so we get about 4 or 5 players in the box when we're going forward. Corners, I tend to have a lot more people in the box, because even when you're on balanced, you are susceptible to the counter attack, which these things can happen on this game, and especially 45th and 90th minute counter attacks, they seem to kill me a lot at the moment, which I'm trying to sort out. But I'm finding the more players that you pile into the box, the more players that they'll have back, so they don't necessarily have that much time or room to get a counter attack off. They only tend to leave like 1 player out on the edge of the box when I've got this many people in the box, so it kind of works for me. And of course, when you've got Ronaldo at the near post, the more players that you've got in there taking big defenders away from Ronaldo, the easier it's going to be for him to get that near post corner, which is really OP on this game. And then free kicks, I've just got set to standard, which I think is 3. I don't really use that because I'm either going to use the short free kick or I'm going to try and bang it in. So free kicks, I don't really mess with too much, but the rest of them, this is what I use for balance. So balanced, we'll keep that as it is. I usually stay balanced unless something goes like horribly wrong. Say if I go 1-0 up against a tough player, because I'll show you my defensive tactics now. So yet again, we're using 4-1-2-1-2 second variation. Now, it's very, very similar to what balanced is. However, we're still on pressure on heavy touch with the defense, because I think that works better for me, because I don't go diving in too much and then just people end up going ping pong and going straight round me for nothing. So we drop the width and we drop the depth by, I think we dropped the depth by 1, so we're a little bit further back now, so we're not giving too much space in midfield. Width I've dropped by 1 or 2 as well. Yet again, just trying to stay as tight as possible. I'm going to let them swing them into the box for this sort of defensive tactic, because we're so narrow, there shouldn't be that many gaps. We should be able to get them away with ease. So it's more of a counter style 4-1-2-1-2. So this one here, I'd only go defensive realistically if I'm playing a very, very good player. So say if I'm playing another pro, this is where I'd probably go to this formation, this tactic straight away, just to get settled into the game, see how they're playing, see what's working, see where he's attacking from mainly, and then you can go from there. I can either go to balanced and then push on a bit more, if that makes sense. But this defensive start, I don't concede many goals when I'm on defensive unless I have a complete calamitous at the back. And in terms of attacking, I think width is the same. Players in the box, we've dropped down a little bit more, so we're not susceptible yet again to counter attacks. We're trying to, so by having less players in the box, we're trying to be less susceptible to a counter attack. So there's a few more players on the edge of the box, or not bursting to get into the box, so they're out of position, that sort of thing. We drop the free kicks by 1, and we drop the corners by 1 as well. So yet again, just trying to be less susceptible to a counter attack. We're playing more sort of structured, where we want everyone to be in the position that they want to be, not too many players going into a position where we could get counter-attacked. So that is the defensive tactic that I'm using at the moment. Yet again, all of these are a work in progress. If you guys want to try these out, by all means, try them out. Let me know how you're getting on with them as well. But for me, these are working at the moment. And until I sort of see something that I really don't like the look of, I don't think I'll be changing them too much out of this one here. But let me know how you get on if you do decide to use them. Okay, so moving on to ultra defensive. Now, this is the first time that we actually switch up the formation. Now, my ultra defensive, now this is literally just for if you're in the last few moments of a game and you need to close out that win. Boy, this is how we're going to do it, okay? So the defensive style, we have 1 width, 1 depth. Like, this is like squeaky bum time at the end of the game, boys. Like, last 10 minutes are in. The pressure's all on you. You've got to keep your opponent out. Now, the best thing about this one, 4-2-3-1, I found it's the best formation for me in terms of going wide and that sort of stuff. So, defensive, I'm on drop back now. 1 width, 1 depth, which is absolutely fine for me. Offensive-wise, we're going to play long ball. We want to try and be fairly wide, not too wide, so there's too many gaps in between my midfielders and my wingers. But I found that 7, yet again, that works for me. I don't want too many players getting into the box because realistically at this point in the game I'm not going to be crossing the ball in. This is when I'm trying to waste a little bit of time, try and drag my opponent away out of my half and keep him as far away from my goal as possible. And it's the same again with corners and free kicks. You can't put it any lower than 1. Realistically, if I do get a corner or a free kick, I'm going to try and pass it down the wings to go into the corner realistically. So yeah, this one that I use it for is primarily if you're literally trying to close a game out. This one I wouldn't personally recommend just sitting on it for like the last 30 minutes of a game or anything like that. I'd say maximum last 15 minutes just while you're trying to close a game out. You know you're going to be under a lot of pressure. If it's like a 1 goal or if it's a 2 goal lead that you don't want to mess up, then this is perfect to do so. And the formation that I use for it as well is the 4-2-3-1. At this point, I would have made a change by now. So as you can see, I've got Ronaldo up top, Neymar just in there at cam, Hullet and Vieira at CDM, Mbappe on the right, Pogba on the left. Realistically, I would have sub Pogba off by this time now, just so I can have an outlet on the left-hand side. I'm not sure who I'd bring on, probably like a Lucas or something, so I could just sprint down the wings and try and waste as much time as possible. Then obviously the same back 4 again, but then Hullet and Vieira, they're going to be the absolute rocks. They're the best players that I've got in midfield, so they're going to be the best that I can possibly get for covering my back 4 at the time. So then, boys, moving on to the attacking style of formation. So we are 4-1-2-1-2 second variation again. So in the defense, we are on pressure after possession loss, so it's a little bit different to pressure after heavy touch. This one here is as soon as we lose the ball, because we're trying to do quick zippy passing now. Attacking, I predominantly use this if I'm 1 or 2 goals down to either someone who I think I know that I'm better of, that I just need to get men further forward, get the goals back before it's too late. So, and what does that look like? So, the defensive style, like I said, we were already on pressure after possession loss. So, we're on a width of 6 and a depth of 6 as well. So, after what our balanced one is, we're going a bit further forward now. We're trying to push the play up a bit further. And yet again, it's the same with the offensive style as well. We're going a little bit, well, I think actually the width of the players in the box is the same. And then I've upped the corners and the free kicks to 4 and 4 as well. I mean, realistically, these ones here are actually fairly similar to our balance formation. It's just a little bit more attacking, so we get men a little bit further forward. At the back, it's still fairly solid because we're not too similar, because that's what it is on balanced. I'm there, So as soon as I go up there, I'm basically pushing the back four up a bit further so I can put pressure on his forwards rather than it's this one's trying to basically cause him to try and do more risky passes, trying to get him to lose possession quicker so I can get him and counter him straight away rather than let him attack me and let me consume all the pressure from his attacks. So attacking wise, there's not that much to it, I'm going to be honest with you, so I'll move straight on. We will go to the ultra attacking formation. Yet again, it's 4-1-2-1-2. This particular one here, this one is if it's literally 75th minute, you're 1-0 down, and you are going to take that risk to try and get yourself a goal. Like you can see, constant pressure. Now, constant pressure, a lot of other people use, like good players use, because they're a lot better defending with it. Now, constant pressure for me, I find that my players die way too quickly, and I end up dragging players out of position that I don't need to, if it's like your balanced or attacking or defensive formations. So this one here only works for me with ultra attacking. As you can see, we're on 9 width, 8 depth, so literally we are, the line is pretty high. It's not that high that they can literally just do one through ball and they're through, but 8 depth is just on the borderline of being very susceptible to counter-attacks. And width-wise, we're trying to get as wide as possible, try and create as much space as we can to put as much pressure on dragging his players out as we can. And with the offense, yet again, I find that balance works for me more than anything else, because I don't want to be focused too much on one tactic. I know that I think, personally for me, the way that I play, balance works a lot better for me. We've got a lot of width, almost maximum players in the box, because at this point here, when you're using this custom tactic here, it's literally the dying embers of the game. You're trying to get back into it. You've pretty much already lost the game anyway if it's 1 or 2-0 coming to the 85th minute. This one here, you're trying to get a goal back to try and gain some momentum to get that, just try and get back in this game. This is like a last ditch custom tactic that I've got here. I haven't had to use this that many times, fortunately for myself, but it's always there if I know that something's gone wrong and I need to press as much as I can to try and get back in the game. So yeah, that is all of the formations and the actual tactics for them. Now I'll go through the instructions for just the 4-1-2-1-2, because the instructions themselves stay exactly the same for the defensive attacking and the ultra attacking formation, and then I'll show you what the ultra defensive one is too. So we'll just go back to balanced, and then the instructions, what I have on my players. So I have my left striker, which will be Ronaldo. Actually, I'll show you this on the defensive one, because this actually shows you where the players are. So Ronaldo in at left striker. So I have Ronaldo on stay central, get him behind, and stay forward. Now, Ronaldo, I don't want him drifting off too much. I want him on the ball, trying to make something happen for me. Because if you've got Ronaldo in front of the goal, his finesse shots are god tier. So ideally, I want him to be the main focal point in my team to try and get there, get in the box, get in behind the defenders and try and get that goal for. Then next to him, I've got Mbappe, who's balanced width, so I don't mind if he goes a bit wider to try and swing the ball into Ronaldo, but then if he stays central as well, I don't mind too, because then I could try and work some 1-2s between him, Ronaldo, Neymar, because they work really well as a 3 up front together. So that, yeah, again, that works for me, and I also have stay forward and get in behind on Mbappe. Then moving into the cam position, we have Neymar, who we've got stay forward, we've got stay on the edge of the box, so I've always got that link to go out to the edge of the box, finesse into the top corner with a time finishing, and then I have conservative interceptions as well. Now, reason being I have conservative interceptions is when that happens, your player doesn't basically go hair-arsing, running towards the ball, trying to win it back, losing all of his stamina. So with the conservative interceptions, Neymar will sort of drop off, don't push the ball too much to try and conserve all the stamina that he's got. To which then, when it comes towards the end of the game, Neymar isn't dead, and I haven't got to try and bring someone on for Neymar, who's probably going to be one of the most effective players in that position. So if I've got plenty of stamina left, that's ideal, because then you're still going towards the end of the game, and he's going to make some chances for you because he's not literally walking around the pitch doing nothing. Then at left centre mid, we have Ruud Gullit, who's stay back while attacking. We're covering the wing with our left central midfield. Now this one here, I don't mind with the default cover wing, because I've got my central defensive midfielder, who is Vieira, who will cover the midfield. And if Alexandro ends up getting dragged out, because in a lot of wider formations, a lot of people tend to have their either right striker, their right winger, say this is for left back for instance, and their right back going forward at once. So say if I drag Sandro out of position there, I know that Gullit will drop back into that position, so then my back four stays the same, and then I've still got Vieira in front of the defence as well to cover the finesse shot too, so it works out quite well that way. And yet again, it's the same with Paul Pogba. So now in the defensive formation, I've got them on stay back while attacking. In the balanced and the attacking, they're both on balanced. But for this defensive formation, they're on stay back while attacking and cover the wing. That's what I found perfect for those two. Works a treat when I've got Walker and Sandro out of position. Or if they tuck inside too much, then they just cover that for me as well. So those two work perfectly for me in that instance. And then obviously when you're looking at CDM as well, I've got stay back while attacking, cover centre on Vieira. That's a very, very important thing. You don't want your central defensive midfielder going off to the wings when there'll be way too much space on the edge of the box for those time finesse shots, especially against better players. They'll punish you massively if you've got your CDM just out of position, running out of the way. And yet again, I've got cut passing lanes. I think man mark means that he's pressing too much on a player in this certain game and then leaves a lot of space elsewhere. But if he's trying to cut the passing lanes, it means that he's not pushing too much and he's just trying to cut the ball out, because people like to pass on the edge of the box on this game, because it's a bit harder to get into the box than it was on FIFA 18. And then the same again, lads, we've got Alexandro and Kyle Walker on stay back while attacking, and then mixed attack with the run type as well. So that's my instructions that comes through for the 4-1-2-1-2 and narrow. And then now I'll finally show you the 4-2-3-1, what we do for that one there in terms of instructions. So we have Ronaldo on balance width, because we don't mind at this point, because of course, yet again, with this formation here, we're looking to close out the game. And I don't mind Ronaldo getting on the ball, trying to run down the wings, because at this point we're not trying to score realistically. So getting behind and stay forward on Ronaldo. Same again on Neymar, where you want basic defensive support. I don't want him too far forward, I don't want him too far backwards. Balance seems to be okay for that one. Yet again, we'll keep him on the edge of the box if we get ourselves a good opportunity for the time finesse shot. And then conservative interceptions to try and keep his stamina as high as possible. Then left midfield, I have come back on defence. I have stay wide, getting behind as well. And then we leave the support and interceptions on standard as well. So yet again, you want him coming back to help out Alexandro. But then if we do end up trying to get ourselves out of that, you want him to stay as wide as possible. Because if then I use Alexandro to go into Rude Hullet, I've got my left mid or my right mid going forward. And you want them to stay as wide as possible, getting in behind as well to try and yet again waste more time going down the wing. And it's exactly the same for Mbappe on that side. You've got come back, stay wide, get in behind, which the same instance again. Walker goes into Vieira, then you try and go down the wing towards Mbappe to waste more time. So yet again with the CDMs, you've got the cut passing lanes, stay back while attacking, and cover centre on these ones here. Now Mbappe and Pogba will be covering the wing backs for this one here as they're dropping back, and then obviously Rude Hullet and Patrick Vieira will want to cover the centre, because you want to keep it as tight as possible. Because what ends up happening is people end up trying to rush the play through the middle. So what I found is most effective is having two CDMs that are just covering the centre, trying to cut out as much space as they possibly can. So Vieira and Hullet both cut passing lanes, stay back and cover centre. And then Walker and Sandro, yet again, what there are on every single one of these formations is stay back while attacking as well. So there you boys have it. That is the end of today's video. So those are all the custom tactics and instructions that I use at the moment in time. So if you guys want to use those tactics and then try them out, see how you get on with them, let me know how you get on with it down in the comment section down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new to the channel as well, boys. And until the next video, I'll catch you guys later.